Okay, we are back to live. I've restarted my mixer, my encoder in the chat room. Let me know if you have a live show now. Please refresh your browsers. I'm going to have to fix this in post. Testing 2, 3. Refreshing my browser. I'll continue the show the minute I see it, and we'll just get this cleaned up after the fact. I don't know what is happening. Not sure what's going on here, folks. There we go. We are live. Okay, we're back into it. Welcome back to the Patriot Radio Show on a Tuesday morning. I've got some editing to do. Somehow my encoder dropped. It looked like it was still going, but thanks to Richard in the chat room for letting me know we had an issue. We are back. Now, we've got some big primaries going on today. But looking in the rearview mirror, a few weeks back, we had a problem with the Colorado caucuses. People were not put on the ballot that were supposed to be on the ballot. The numbers were wrong. People did not get a voice. They didn't get a chance to say who they wanted to support and vote for. Now, we've got a Colorado County GOP chair sending a letter to the Secretary of State stating that because of the perception of fraud, we may ought to redo our caucuses. The perception of fraud, many instances in several different caucuses around the state were fraudulent. The county chair Cage wrote to the state party chairman, Steve Howe, Steve, if you see this note, that's why it's been as bad for me to be on your side. You ran on election integrity and promised you'd create a team of people that could train us at the county level to watch for fraud in our elections, but that has not happened yet. Republican county clerks should be included in such a team, but there also need to be folks who are not clerks. Clerks get reelected if they make voting easy, but as we've seen in this discussion, ease of voting doesn't equate to integrity in voting. You may not agree with my particular solution, and I'm open to discussing the best possible solutions, but we need to take the responsibility and fix this. And he's urging a redo. The Secretary of State actually came to the caucus wearing a Team Cruz shirt. So it was pretty blatant that the county party was in the bag, and we may actually get a do-over for that. Yesterday we mentioned the weirdness of John Kasich with fewer delegates than Marco Rubio, who dropped out a few months back. Kasich has won exactly one state out of the 40-something states that have voted already. He is vetting vice presidential partners. Somebody said on TV yesterday he should ought to vet himself because he might make it as a VP. Now Cruz campaign is confirming they've got a short list as well. With no possible way to get the nomination on the first ballot, Ted Cruz is putting together a short list of VP candidates, and on that list is Carly Fiorina. Of course, I'm sure he won't pick her, but since she came out and supported him, I guess he probably had to do that. Also, we've got a real strain in this Cruz-Kasich bromance. Now, they had a meeting over the weekend. Cruz and Kasich met, I believe it was down in Florida. And they made a pact. Kasich would stay out of Indiana, let Cruz have Indiana, so he's not splitting the votes three ways up there. And Cruz agreed to stay out of Oregon and New Mexico. So they're just taking Trump on one in these three states. But yesterday, Kasich is on TV telling people, well, if people want to vote for me in Indiana, they're more than welcome to. I'd love it if they would. I never told them not to vote for me, so they should vote for me. Kasich just announced that he wants people to Indiana vote for him, tweeted Trump. Typical politician, can't make a deal work. So Cruz goes out on the trail yesterday, and Cruz is telling the media, well, Kasich decided not to campaign in Indiana. No mention at all that they made a pact. He won't be campaigning in two states himself. He just made it sound like you did with Doc Carson. Doc Carson's out of the race. He's going home. Now he's saying Kasich decided not to campaign here in Indiana. No mention at all of a pact. No mention either of this, a letter that was sent out via email, but it was on Ted Cruz stationery. And it was from Ted at tedcruz.org. This letter says, Dear supporters, please take caution. For email distribution only. Here's the situation. Tomorrow we are embarking on a very important elections in Indiana, Oregon, and New Mexico. Please understand that sometimes in order to win the endgame, we must be the better strategic player in this election, the most important of our times. I ask of you, tomorrow in Oregon and New Mexico, please continue voting for Ted Cruz to win in these states. Do not select John Kasich, as has been reported since Sunday evening. The Republican National Committee are aware that John Kasich does not have a chance at all of winning before the convention, not to mention either at the second or third ballots. However, his participation in the Indiana election tomorrow should bring us over the top against Donald Trump, and at the very least keep him away from the majority that he needs. Along with State Rep Rod Montoya of New Mexico and State Director Marlena Duke of Oregon, we are working to save our Constitution and ensure the success of America. For liberty, Ted Cruz. Now, nobody else has talked about this on the TV. I haven't seen it in any of the other blogs. I pulled this off of Facebook. I don't know if this is true or it's not true. The one thing, and I just caught it just as I was reading it. I didn't catch it as I reposted it on Facebook. I bought into it at first because it's sleazy. The whole idea of Ted Cruz making a pact and then going behind Kasich's back and saying, hey guys, forget what you're hearing on TV. Go ahead and vote for me. But the letter says, I ask you, tomorrow in Oregon and New Mexico, please continue voting for Ted Cruz. Well, that's not for another week yet. So unless this letter is being prepared to be sent out this next week, there is a chance that this has been put together bogusly. So I'm not putting this out there as fact, but there's definitely some dirty play. When you stand there and tell the media that Kasich has decided not to campaign in Indiana, makes it look like his campaign is falling apart. Let's see. Let's get to a little bit of good news. Oh, well, let's do this. We're going to finish up on the elections, on the campaign stuff here first. Democrat turnout is down more than 4.5 million. Nearly 20% lower than it was in 2008. And we go to 2008 because that is the last contested Democratic primary. Election data compiled on the Democratic primaries between 2016 and 2008 in the states that have voted so far, it has 4.5 million fewer people voting in the Democratic primaries. The steep drop-off is so significant on the Democratic side that the vast majority of the states saw drops in voter participation in the primaries and caucuses. Almost all the states that have voted saw a lower participation. Only a handful of states saw increases in participation on the Democratic side. This includes Arizona, Michigan, Alaska, Colorado, Idaho, Kansas, and Maine. Now, with the sole exception of Arizona, Sanders won all of those. The only states that saw an increase in participation, Sanders won. All the states that didn't see an increase, Sanders lost. Now that's interesting because we're comparing 2008, 2016. 2016, she had high participation, Hillary did, and she lost to Obama. So with a high voter participation, she still lost. And now participation is low. So I'm expecting that she's just not going to get the people out. I've got a feeling that the Democrats are actually out there voting. They're just voting for Donald Trump. They're crossing over and voting for the guy that can save America, the one guy in the race that can get America back on track. Folks, stick around. We got our second break here. We've got to pay some bills. We will be right back. And my apologies for the loss in connection. There really didn't look like anything wrong at this end, but we'll fix it in the post. Stick around. It's the Patriot Radio Show on a Tuesday morning. Tune in tomorrow. Ken Crow, political guru extraordinaire, will join us.
Attention patriots and conservative Americans. Have you ever wondered why the Tea Party did so well in 2010, but has not accomplished much since? Have you ever wondered where your money goes when you donate to these various national Tea Party groups, and then what do they do with it? The new blockbuster book, Ego in a Teabag, written by Ken Crow, an original Tea Party organizer and activist, is a tell-all about the seedy side of the Tea Party. Ego in a Teabag exposes the corruption, greed, and deceit behind this great American movement. Along with the exposing of the bad, the book also details how the Tea Party will become the most powerful political organization in America in the coming years. Order your copy today from Amazon.com to be released at the end of April. Just click on the picture of Ken's book on PatriotRadioShow.com and reserve your copy of Ego in a Teabag today.
How's it going, JR fans? Nick Libretti here, and today we're smoking the Oliva Cane Daytona. Another home run from the Oliva Company. Guys, this is the Cane Daytona. Medium to full body Nicaraguan smoke. Habano wrapper on it. Burns really, really nice. Hints of coffee. Really, really creamy, flavorful smoke. This thing changes flavors on me 4 or 5 times throughout the cigar. It's excellent. 3 words I would use to describe this thing: impeccable, complex, and out of this world. That's more than 3 words. Stop counting. We have 3 sizes.
Attention patriots and conservative Americans. Have you ever wondered why the Tea Party did so well in 2010, but has not accomplished much since? Have you ever wondered where your money goes when you donate to these various national Tea Party groups, and then what do they do with it? The new blockbuster book, Ego in a Tea Bag, written by Ken Crow, an original Tea Party organizer and activist, is a tell-all about the seedy side of the Tea Party. Ego in a Tea Bag exposes the corruption, greed, and deceit behind this great American movement. Along with the exposing of the bad, the book also details how the Tea Party will become the most powerful political organization in America in the coming years. Order your copy today from Amazon.com to be released at the end of April. Just click on the picture of Ken's book on PatriotRadioshow.com and reserve your copy of Ego in a Tea Bag today.
How's it going, JR fans? Nick Libretti here, and today we're smoking the Oliva Cane Daytona. Another home run from the Oliva Company. Guys, this is the Cane Daytona. Medium to full body Nicaraguan smoke. Habano wrapper on it. Burns really, really nice. Hints of coffee. Really, really creamy, flavorful smoke. This thing changes flavors on me 4 or 5 times throughout the cigar. It's excellent. 3 words I would use to describe this thing: impeccable, complex, and out of this world. That's more than 3 words. Stop counting. We have 3 sizes, everything from a 46 to a 60 ring gauge. Get them right now at jrcigars.com.
Hi there, my name is Mark Cranenberg and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to talk about my favorite order from Chicago Steak Company. It's the Classic Prime Assortment. Alright, well let's open up and have a look what's inside. So right away we've got 2 6-ounce filet mignons. If you know anything about steak, it's really rare to see filet mignons with that kind of marbling in it. Just beautiful steak. And then next we've got the 2 12-ounce USDA prime strip steaks. Just look at how thick these things are. They're just beautiful. Again, beautifully marbled, amazing steak. Then we've got 2 USDA prime ribeyes. And if you like steak that is just mouth-watering, this is the steak for you. With all that marbling inside, you'll see it's thicker. The marbling is a lot thicker. That just means more moisture throughout your steak. Now we've got 6 USDA prime top sirloin steaks. These are the steaks that everyone's going to love. Then we're moving into our next package. Next we have 16 4-ounce gourmet Angus steak burgers. These are amazing burgers that everyone's going to love. And to top it all off, they give you 1 container of my favorite steak seasoning of all time, the Chicago Steak Spice. And you're going to love it too. So there you have the Classic Prime Assortment. My favorite and your ultimate steak experience. So be sure to order your steak today at mychicagosteak.com. I'm Mark. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you next time at mychicagosteak.com.
Tom O'Halloran.
We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. All brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Of my red, white, and blue.
Welcome back. It is the Patriot Radio Show. I am your host, Tom O'Halloran. And I tell you what, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. First, those crazy people up in North Carolina say that men have to use men's bathrooms. God help us, where are we going with this? Now the absolute crazy people in North Carolina are putting a gun range in a high school. They're just going to train people to go out and shoot people in malls. Kids learn how to use guns. Everybody's going to get shot. They'll be shooting people from cars. The left is going to piss their pants over this. I love it. When I was growing up, not too many decades ago, Most schools had gun ranges. At least out where I grew up, out in the country we did. We all had rifle racks on the back window of our pickup trucks. And we had rifles in them. We'd go out lunch break. We'd show our friends the rifles. They weren't locked in the trunk of the car. We'd go out to the parking lot. We'd show the guns. The teacher come out and look at our new gun. It isn't crazy, people. It's responsibility. When you teach kids how to use a gun, how to respect what a gun can do, people have respect for guns. Now, this isn't going to stop the crazy people from getting guns and shooting people. What this is going to stop, it's going to stop people from leaving loaded guns laying around the house. Because when kids understand what guns are, they leave them alone. They grow up respecting guns, respecting the power of guns, and understanding that kids can shoot themselves or others if they're left alone. So Mike in the chat room says, when I was a kid, I brought my 22 for show and tell. Yes, we did. We did. We didn't leave, our parents didn't leave loaded guns laying around for the little kids. Neither did we as preteens and teens. But we had access to them. We knew how to use them. And we could use them in public without people peeing their pants saying, oh, fire Tommy from school or suspend Tommy from school because he drew a picture of a gun, or he pointed his finger at me like a gun. Oh my gosh, I was threatened. Today we have such a bunch of pansies. Everybody's in a state of panic. Kids suspended from school for drawing a gun, for wearing a t-shirt with a gun on it, an NRA t-shirt, for biting a Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun. God bless North Carolina. And God bless the high school that took this great step and put a gun range in. Changing gears, AmeriCorps. This is the volunteer service that Obama started. Long threatened to be his private army that he kept talking about. We need to have a citizen army. And it was long feared that it would be these volunteers. He's got some 80,000 people signed up in the AmeriCorps volunteer service now. It's managed through the Corporation for National and Community Service. However, at least 6 members of AmeriCorps, the National Volunteer Service for Nonprofit, at least 6 members have been charged with helping people get abortions. Escorts to abortion clinics in select neighborhoods in New York City. This report filed by the Attorney Inspector General's office. Federal grants help fund AmeriCorps, which is overseen by the Corporation for National Community Service. Federal law prohibits using these dollars in any way that supports abortion. The violations weren't explained in full detail. It came from 6 volunteers with the National Community Community Health Centers. And apparently the violations were self-reported by managers that found out about this. Now, 6 out of 80,000 isn't that big of a deal. I'm impressed that it was self-reported. The media didn't find it out. It wasn't caught by Project Veritas. So they have managers over there, some managers anyway, that saw a problem and reported it, which is a good thing. But here's the reason that I pulled this. Here's the reason why I pulled this story. Because 6 people helping somebody go get over to the abortion thing isn't a big enough story for me to be too concerned with. AmeriCorps touts 80,000 volunteers around the nation. The CNCS, its managing organization, received roughly $1.1 billion in federal monies in 2015. 80,000 volunteers, and they're getting over $1 billion. What do you need $1 billion for if the people that you're managing are all volunteers? If you made them all salaries and split the $1.1 billion, according to my mental math, that would be about $120,000, $125,000 a piece. I want to know why AmeriCorps gets $1 billion a year. This is Obama's pet inner city project thing, probably being run by his friends from Chicago. More government graft. I'd like to know who the top officers are in AmeriCorps. In fact, I'm going to set this one aside. We're going to look into this a little bit more in detail later. Okay, catching up in the chat room. Mike, I received a hand-me-down Pump Action 22. Mike, I think I need to go to the ladies' room. No, Mike. No. Use the boys' room. Use the boys' room until the operation. Oh, jeez. This whole transgender thing, I don't really want to go back to that story. It's just people use the word transgender like it's a real word. It's not a real word. Trans means to go from one to the other. You don't change your gender. It's impossible, people. Stop using the word. It's a bogus word. It's made up. If dressing like a woman makes you a woman, I should be able to dress like Big Bird and go fly. It does not work. Transgender is delusional. Oh, you see those fancy toilets in LA Target ladies? No, I haven't seen that. Transhuman is the goal. Yes, I did see that. Transhuman is the goal. We've got a call. It's our good friend Ken Crow at the last minute. Let's see what he's got to say. Brother Ken, are you there? Let me see. Phone, mute. Ken, what's up, brother? Turn down the noise.
Oh, I was listening to your ass. Sorry.
My what?
I was listening to you.
We got Ken Crow, our political guru. What's up, brother?
I can't resist. No, transgender is a real word. The problem is it's describing something that is not real.
Okay.
The word is real.
Okay, fine. They use vowels.
The description that's unreal.
They use vowels and they use consonants. Anybody can make up a word. It's not a real thing.
Well, all words were originally made up. If you stop and think about it, they didn't just materialize. We created them. But yeah, there you go. But that isn't why I called you.
Well, I'm hoping not. What do you got?
Okay. Watching something on Fox a little while ago, and they're saying that Democrat turnout is down in this primary season by 20 to 25%.
Really?
And that I would believe. But
really?
Something interesting. Yes.
Wow.
Interesting, very interesting.
25.
The Democrat turnout is still higher than the Republican voting is. And tonight, what I want you to watch for on the Northeast Seaboard, since this is going to be some hotly contested areas, is look at the vote count of the Democrats. If they are off by 20 to 25%, as they say they are, look at the vote count versus the Republican vote count. And this is going to give you some insight as to what Donald's capabilities are going to be on the Northeast Seaboard.
Sure.
In other words, take Cruz's votes, take Kasich's votes, take Donald's votes, add them together, and see if they outnumber Bernie's and Hillary's.
Well, let's look at New York. I can give you that because I did that with New York. If you take,
it's going to be interesting because I don't know that because you know that if Cruz was running, being a hard right-liner, he's not going to pull the votes on the Northeast Seaboard that Donald will pull.
No, of course not.
Because Donald's much more moderate and they know it.
Well, if you look at what happened in New York, Ken, in New York, Hillary got, I believe it was 1.3 million votes. Bernie got 800,000.
Well, that's 2 million.
But here's this. Bernie came in second with 800,000. Trump had 500 and something, and Bernie had 300. Bernie and Trump, first and second place Republicans, was not as high. Are you walking your dog again?
Yes, I'm outside with the dog.
Yeah, the wind is lighting up the mic. That's all right. The first and second place votes for Republicans did not equal second place votes for the Democrats in New York. I made note of that. I made note on that last the day after the election. That was starkly short, and we need to do a heck of a lot better than that come November.
Well, absolutely. But now the one thing that's not calculated into that is that the Republicans have not been going after the Democrats with any volume of advertising or any negative ads or any of that. So once that process starts, that's going to change a lot.
Yeah.
When Donald starts and the PACs that jump in to support Donald in television advertising start jumping in and showing the Benghazi ads and the failure with the 3 o'clock phone call and all of that.
And we've also
going to change a lot of that.
We've also got a pretty good sized chunk of Bernie supporters that will never support Hillary. They'll go vote for Trump instead.
They will vote for Donald, and I saw some interviews on that the other day, and that was the interesting twist I was going to throw in there for you too, was that the Bernie supporters hate Hillary. They hate her, and they want an outsider, and Donald's your last outsider left standing if Bernie's not in the race.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're 100% correct about that. Anyway, I didn't want to take up your show today. I just thought of that and wanted everybody to sort of pay attention to that tonight because it's going to be really interesting to see what the raw vote counts are.
And the thing about the Democrat votes going down, 20% lower, we already covered that in an earlier segment, brother.
Well, I wasn't there for that.
See, you just tune in for the Ken Crow part of it.
Actually, to be honest with you, I was up at 3 o'clock this morning writing. I went back to bed at 6, and I didn't wake up till 9:15.
Writing, I hear you were playing Farmville.
Well, now, whoever's stalking me on Facebook, please stop.
We have people watching you, brother. Thanks for calling in. I look forward to you. Tomorrow morning we'll go over the primaries of tonight. All right.
I look forward. Bye bye.
All right, brother. Bye. That was a good friend, Ken Crow, and that is the end of our show, my friends. This is the Patriot Radio Show on a Tuesday morning. Please join us tomorrow. Ken will be back. We'll have a good solid hour of nothing but talking about the primaries, what's happening in the Northeast today. God bless you and yours, America. Shout out to the chat room, Mike Nelson, Catherine, Richard, Ken Crow, Little Charlie. God bless you and yours, America. This is Tom O'Halloran. I'm out.